What is the current status of cloud computing service your company today? Currently using 36% private cloud, 23% public cloud.
Paul Maritz, the CEO of VMware, made an interesting statement in a keynote he gave about a year ago when he called the future of cloud is equal opportunity IT. And he paralleled cloud to Amazon. And if you think about Amazon, Amazon represented the democratization of commerce. That shoemaker up in Thunder Bay had equal access to clients around the world through this platform. So what cloud really represents is the democratization of IT, really giving us or offsetting that competitive advantage that classic large enterprises face. So as Jimmy mentioned and Mustafa mentioned, personally I think one of the greatest immediate opportunities for public cloud is going to be in that SMB or that mid-tier market, really gaining access to those types of services and resources.
SMI is the Carnegie Mellon initiative to allow you to measure and rate services provided either internally or externally on an apples-to-apples basis. Quality, agility, risk, right? Cost, compliance, cost capability, excuse me. So there's 5 criteria, and there must be 60 metrics underneath that you'd be able to rate a service against. And then through Commons, get access to the data for all those various service providers and be able to make decisions very quickly.
Top reasons for moving applications to the public cloud. Cost savings is the #1 thing, right? What might be a problem with the assumption that cloud's going to give you cost savings? When I put an application on the cloud, I probably can't just turn off all my other stuff. And if you think about publicly traded companies, if I launch into a big investment in the cloud and I go to a cloud provider, whether it's a Rackspace or Amazon, what do I do with all my servers? Sell them on eBay, right? That server investment was a large capital expenditure that is going to be ratably written off as OpEx. They're still out there. So the cost savings is not going to happen overnight. Scalability, that makes sense. Global access, that makes sense. The one that's, what was it, 6th that I think should be top is agility, right? Business agility. Let me focus on being a financial institution. Let me focus on being a retail organization. Let me focus on taking care of the public, of the citizens, Canadians. Let the electricians take care of my electricity. Let the cloud take care of my IT. It's not going to happen overnight. Interesting here, the business executives say 40% and the IT professionals say 35%. So the IT professionals, less of them believe cost savings.
As we prepare to try to deliver some of these cost savings, we're certainly going to have to make some capital and some operational investments. How do we build, and what are some of the best practices or ways you've seen people be successful in building these business cases towards cloud computing? How do we offset or quantify or justify some of the investments we're going to have to do, whether it be in a security perspective, operationally, through virtualization or other technologies?
There is pressure, economic pressure on all IT professionals to reduce cost. Therefore, if you want to go to the cloud, there has to be a remarkable, irresistible business model to go there. And nothing would be more attractive than cost effectiveness in this area. So, and I think if the model is to develop the way it's supposed to, which means that you will have many customers served by the same infrastructure, that means your cost distribution is low. And what I mean by that, if I were to develop any application and I'm the only consumer of it, then my cost is very high. I mean, that's kind of common sense. So if we can move to the cloud and the cloud is sharing that cost, then my cost will be down. Now, to be brutally honest with you, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen a irresistible, aggressive, like Google kind of like approach to cost reduction. Come on in, almost, for minimum cost. And that has to happen for the cloud to really take off And if people with vision would understand that kind of thinking that Google and Facebook and these people introduced, then there will be, I would say, massive movement to it. And with that comes economic opportunities. So I think the cost and then the business model, because I have attended a number of sessions on cloud by many organizations, including Microsoft and IBM, and they still have not really figured out the business model, how they're going to charge us for an IT tone, if you wish. You know, we are moving heavily into virtualized model. We can give up our entire storage area as long as it stays in Canada, as Mike has been said. But there is no reason why it should be in our shop if somebody else can leverage more users and reduce the cost.
Cloud offers you a tremendous opportunity to take elements and simplify. And that's a piece that often gets lost. So when we talk about really, truly agility and cost efficiency, those are key. If you have a very complex dad's garage and you want to automate it and get towards cloud and virtual, you still have a very complex dad's garage. So you need to take the time to plan into your business goals and start to try to simplify elements where it makes sense. So to draw that straight to customer examples, the customers who I think are very successful with cloud to date internally on the smaller scale have done so through simplification, and the other S, standardization. They've said, for a certain set of what I'm trying to achieve, speed is of the essence. I'm going to go to the 80-20 rule. I think we've used that this morning already. Say, I will give you what you need if you standardize on my stack.
What I wanted to focus on was, I saw in one of the slides, some of the reasons the cost savings very high, and the environment was very low. I think it was the potential Canada has to build many of our server farms actually up in the north and use optic networks to bring them back down. And the opportunities that we have, of course, is that much of the cost in running some of these server farms is keeping things cool. We've got a lot of cool when it comes to the north. And so in fact, what you have is an opportunity, and there are a number of countries that are beginning to try to compete essentially for hosting cloud because it's energy costs that become such a critical component on all of this. We've got the ability literally to host much of this in our north at lower costs because we've got natural cooling, repurpose some of the heat that's generated to generate heat that's otherwise needed within some of these communities, and then use the fiber optic high-speed networks that we've already built from the north to run both, of course, into Canada and elsewhere. And there are those who have calculated it and have suggested that this would be not just carbon neutral, but carbon positive in the sense that you'd actually have a positive environmental impact from all of this. And so
what are the top reasons for moving to a private cloud? And if cloud is ambiguous, perhaps private cloud is also ambiguous. Where do you draw the line between a virtualized server farm and a private cloud? It's not a clear-cut line. Does it become a cloud when you can dynamically provision capacity? Well, maybe, right? Does it become a cloud if it's so dynamically provisioned that it becomes elastic? Well, maybe. Does it become a cloud if I can put complex frameworks or complex application architectures, stacks if you will, on the fly? So regardless of how you would define a private cloud, what are the reasons? Now this one I think cost savings might be a justifiable frequent response. Certainly private clouds, highly sophisticated virtualized server farms will save money if done correctly, right? Certainly that initial investment will return great benefits over time. So this is the number 2 reason to go to a private cloud is security. I think what people misinterpret this question perhaps is why would you go to a private cloud instead of a public cloud? If that's the case, then certainly security would be a reason to do that. Manageability, flexibility, business continuity, disaster, right? The great thing about disaster on a highly virtualized private cloud, a server failure can have catastrophic implications. But if you're virtualized on 100 servers, you might not care. In fact, you might not notice if a server or 2 goes down, right? And that's one of the, by design, benefits of going to a highly virtualized environment. Biggest opponent and supporter of going to cloud computing, again, IT senior business leaders looking for a combination of agility, cost savings, and an IT-born strategic differentiator. And what this tells us basically, and what this tells CA, microcosm of Canada, is that in spite of the complexity, in spite of the risk, in spite of the initial cost, the benefits in terms of flexibility, reliability, and agility, and efficiency, right? If you think about efficiency, if I can run my organization on less servers and have elasticity perhaps into a hybrid cloud and launch out and grab a few from EC2 or Rackspace once in a while, I am maximizing the return on my IT CapEx dollars.